Isaac's on his way in now, guys. We'll give you a couple seconds to get set up. Anybody who needs a record permission, speak now.
Brian, I had record permission, and now it says I don't. Can I get that back so I can start mine up? This is Jacob.
Anybody else need a record permission?
You want me to continue right here?
All right, Isaac promised us the best opening statement ever, so here it comes.
Good win versus Cincinnati. I thought it was a good team effort. We got off to a slow start. The second half, we picked it up. We were able to get to the rim a lot on our dribble drive. We got out in transition, able to get a lot of easy baskets. Ricky Council had a great game, 23 points off the bench. I thought Clarence Jackson brought a lot of energy. Tyson Eaton, he was just okay in the first half, but we got him a lot of shots in the second half. I think he scored 18 points. Overall, it was a good team effort. Tulsa, good basketball team, the hottest team in the league right now. They're on a 6-game win streak. They got Brandon Rochelle, who I think right now, outside of guys on our team, he's the player of the year in the league, really talented. 3-4. They got a good basketball player in Joyner, the guard, and they got one of the best defenses in the country with that matchup zone. So we got to do a good job of trying to get out in transition to try to get some easy baskets so we don't have to go against that set defense. If we have to go against that, we need to execute and make some wide open threes.
Coach, you mentioned Tulsa, the hottest team in the league. Then SMU this weekend's another team. Both of them look like they're going to be in that top end of the conference. One game at a time. But is this the biggest week for you guys so far? Do you approach it that way? How do you look at a week that could have some pretty big conference implications down the road?
I hadn't looked further than the Tulsa game. I hadn't thought much about SMU. I think Tulsa is the biggest game because if we can win this game, we've got the tiebreaker rule over those guys. So that's what makes it really huge. And they're in first place right now. They're 4-1. We're 3-1. We have the opportunity to be in sole possession of first with Houston with a win. They're a good basketball team. So we just got to do a good job of just handling that matchup zone, being able to make shots, trying to get out in transition to get some easy ones, and defending and rebounding at a high level.
And piggybacking off of that, a few weeks ago that you said that this team could win the American Conference. What is it that you see from this team that you guys could make that run?
You know what I think that was taken out of content? It was just something in the locker room. I was just trying to give those kids confidence. And when I first started that statement, I said, if you guys play like this every night at a high level like you did in the second half, you have a chance to go a long way. But I do think, we got a good basketball team. This is a huge basketball game against a team that's 4-1, hottest team in the league, the defending champions. And this will help us if it's a tiebreaker rule in the end, if we could win 2 games over those guys.
And then I don't know if you just saw it, but Cincinnati had to postpone a game because they had a positive COVID test. So I don't know. Obviously, you guys just played them. So have you guys had any positives over the last couple of days? Or? No,
we haven't. And I'm just hearing that when you said it, that they had a positive. So they're postponing their game. No, we haven't had any issues. We've passed 2 tests since the Cincinnati game.
When you look at Ricky Council and what he could be, I think all of us, our eyes get big at what he could be by the time his Shocker career ends. But what can he be like right now for you guys Is Sunday kind of a glimpse into what he could bring night in, night out, or where is he at in his development?
I definitely think it's a glimpse of what he can bring night in and night out. You know, he's a super talented kid. He's getting better defensively. And I think, you know, now he's starting to understand our system. And I just told him early on, it wasn't about scoring to stay on the court. You got to defend, you got to execute. And when you can do those things, you're allowed more minutes. And now you're scoring, we can see what you can do offensively. We always knew that he could score the basketball. I mean, he's had signs in practice where he's dominated some days because he's really good off the bounce. He has a lot of confidence. I think he feels like he's the best player on the floor at times. And, you know, in order to be a great player, you got to have confidence in yourself. And he has a lot of confidence in himself.
Steve feels like one that can really grind a game out. You guys have had slow stretches offensively, but it never gets him down. I imagine that's not the same with every team you've coached. Is that a unique ability for these guys in particular?
I think these guys just stay together. You know, nobody ever points fingers when we're down. They're all acting like leaders in the locker room. We can go in at halftime down a game, or we battling in the second half, and all those guys are picking each other up. I think the bench is giving us a lot of energy, just the way that they're clapping and yelling for their teammates. And those guys just stay together, and we got good leadership, and it's helping us win games.
When you see Tyson play, Conference Player of the Year, that stuff enters the conversation. Is he a guy, as you watch him develop, that could be playing in the NBA at some point?
Without a doubt, you know, I always tell kids, you know, you got to, number one, you got to get a break. You got to get lucky. I coached a lot of guys that played in the NBA. Some of them probably wasn't as talented as him, but it's all about, you know, you getting the right opportunity. You winning at a high level in college. You carrying yourself right on the court, off the court, and just working hard. You know, I've seen guys that, you know, average 2 points a game as a freshman, but they wind up playing in the NBA. So a lot of it is on you about your work, what you're willing to put in, and he's getting better and better every game. Last year, he was a catch and shoot guy for us. This year, he's a guy that we can give him the ball late in the shot clock. We can go 1-4 flat. He can beat you with a jump shot. He can beat you driving the lane, picking up a foul. He can create and get somebody else a wide open shot. So his development, he's really improved this summer. And I just give it up to the kid for how much work he's put in, and it's really paying off for him.
Hey, Coach Taylor here. I got disconnected, so I don't know if you've already been asked, but just the key against Tulsa, you mentioned just getting to the foul line. You guys have been really good at generating free throws. What's the key against, you know, that zone defense? How do you keep shooting free throws against them and attack the basket when they're in that zone?
I think number one, we got to try to get out in transition where they can't set the zone up. If we can beat them down in transition on makes and misses and try to attack the rim at that point, that helps us in our scoring. I went back and watched the last game. We scored a lot in transition. If we can't get out in transition and we got to go against their 1-2-2 3/4 court press, we got to make sure we do a good job of attacking it. And then we got to get organized and run our man sets at a full speed. We got to run our zone sets. We can't just stand. We got to have a lot of movement. We got to be able to penetrate the gaps. And then at some point, you got to be able to make a wide open shot. We got off to a good start versus them the last game because we made 4 threes early in the game. But the last 2 games I watched them play Cincinnati. They got off to a hot start. I watched them play South Florida. They got off to a hot start. We just got to do a good job of getting off to a good start and being able to make wide open shots.
So for you know, layman's terms for some of us, you expect a high tempo on your end offensively then to try and keep them on their heels?
Yeah, we got to push the pace. We can't walk it up. If we walk it up and we go against that set defense, it could be a long night. So we got to be able to get stops, get out in transition. We got to try to turn them over, get out in transition. And even when they score, we still got to sprint the ball up the floor because we don't want to go against a set defense all night long. And then if we do have to go against a set defense, we just got to execute. We can't stand and be stationary. We got to move. We got to cut. We got to have good pace. We got to set good ball screens. And in the end, we got to step up and make some wide open jump shots.
And coach, as you continue to win, the talk about removing the interim tag becomes louder. Have you interviewed for the job yet, or does that happen after season? Just kind of curious what that process is.
I had an interview from the job. I hadn't thought much about it. You know, I get asked that question a lot. My main focus has just been having these guys organized, trying to win games, and giving them 110% every day, the entire coaching staff, making sure we're doing a great job in our scouting reports, making sure we're doing a great job in organizing the practice, and just making sure we're doing a good job and making sure these kids are good on the court, off the court, having fun, and being safe. That's pretty much it. Hadn't thought much about it. We're just trying to give 100% effort in making sure they're prepared.
And what has it meant to have Billy Kennedy on this staff, and just kind of how much has he helped, you know, being an extra voice, and he's been here and he's done all that as a head coach before?
You know, we got great assistant coaches on the staff, and I worked with those guys for a lot of years. Just having Coach Kennedy here, having head coach experience, has really helped because, you know, he's been in those situations. He's played teams that play these type of amoeba defenses. You know, he's good, you know, organizing our practice. He's really good at, you know, giving me thoughts on talking with the media. He's really good at, you know, X and O stuff. Just having somebody there that's been through it, you know, that's been coaching for a long time, somebody that I feel comfortable with, that we can argue about some, but, you know, I know he's got my best interests at heart. He's got the team best interest, and it's just good having a seasoned guy there beside me.
One part of this is recruiting. I know you guys don't have a lot of spots, but it's opened back up. Is that has to be a little strange with an interim tag? What are you telling kids when you talk to them in recruiting?
It's hard, you know, because that's the first question they get asked, like, Coach, you know, teams that I call kids about, the first thing that their AAU coach said, or their high school coach, do you have a long-term contract? And that's something I don't have. So I think that hurts us in recruiting, but, you know, we're still working. You know, Coach Cadino, Coach Waterman, all those guys are, you know, making recruiting phone calls. They're getting me on the phone calls with kids, but I think that does hurt us in a way.
And looking kind of big picture wise, you guys are, you know, 7-3, and you look at, you know, the shooting percentages for Dexter, for Trey Wade. I'm sure you guys feel like Mo Udeze could play better. I mean, a lot of the starters.
Taylor, we lost you. Did you hear?
I'll try and follow up. I think I know where he was going. Just the bigs, are they, as you guys look big picture and look like you're going to be competitive, are you getting enough out of the bigs at this point collectively, or is there more to take there?
I always think it's more to take, but they're getting better every game. Morris had a good game last game. He took the game over late. He was able to score inside. He had good patience, but I got confidence in our big. I feel like at any point in the game, I can put Isaiah in the basketball game. He's a good player. He can score it on the block. He's got good hands. He can step out and rebound it. He's a good defender. You know, Josephat, he comes into the game. He gives us something different. He's longer. He's more athletic. He's really good in ball screens. He can block shots. He's a great passer. And he's another guy that can make wide open threes. So I got a lot of confidence in our bigs. I still think we can do a better job on the glass, but I think we're good enough inside, and they just got to keep getting better and better.
Is Josephat healthy? Yeah.
I wouldn't say he's 100%, but he's better. I would say he's probably 90%. You know, he's running good. He's still not jumping at as high as I want him to jump, but he's running a lot better.
You touched on this a little bit, but about the confidence and everyone uplifting each other. But what does it mean when you have maybe your two best players like Dexter and Tyson, when they're also the biggest cheerleaders for the other guys? What does that mean for everyone else?
I think it lets the young players know that it's all about winning. I tell them that story all the time. You know, Landry Shamet, Ron Baker, Fred Van Vliet, none of those guys averaged 18 points a game. Those guys in the NBA, because they came from a winning environment and they were able to get to the NCAA tournament, they won basketball games. And when teams are looking at you, the first thing they're going to look at, are you a winner? So I think just having your best players cheering for other guys, and it's all about winning. I think that's a winning atmosphere, and we need that.
Time for one more if you guys want it, or
Hey, Coach, can you hear me now?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Yeah, I was gonna ask. A lot of the returners, guys like Trey Wade and Dexter, and Mo, even guys like Altariq, they probably aren't feeling like they're playing their A game. Is there a pretty easy avenue for you guys just to level up? I mean, there's still a lot of room for growth, even though you guys are 7-3 and playing pretty well. You guys probably feel like you could play even better, right?
Yeah, I still think we can play better. I don't think we've played a complete 40 minutes yet. Dating back to the Oklahoma State game, the Mizzou game, I thought we played good in halves. The Ole Miss game, we didn't have a good first half. We played really well the second half. The Houston game, we started out good. We didn't play a great second half. Even the Cincinnati game, we played well in the second half. We scored 45 points. The first half, we were just okay. I think putting together a solid 40 minutes. I think we still can play a lot better. I still think we got a game coming where we're going to get 5 or 6 guys that are going to play their best. So, we still looking for that perfect game where we can play 40 minutes, where we can defend at a high level, we can score at a high level, and hopefully we can put that game together tomorrow.
all right, thanks, Coach.
Thanks for the time, Coach. Appreciate it.
All right.
Thank you.
Man, I hope they don't say nothing about that deal about the recruiting.